I thought this view was a little bit calming after a busy day. These are the fountains near the Washington Monument. And we're getting a really great sunset right now. So we'll take a walk up the mall. We call it the mall, not the mall. We're getting a walk up the mall to catch the good lighting on all of the memorials.
Where did you move? I thought you were talking to me. Oh, sorry.
Hope everybody is having a wonderful day. Try not to get in this person's. Try to stay out of the way of folks trying to take pictures. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes I can't avoid it. So this is a great view here on the National Mall. Folks playing softball. I've played softball here. I've also played softball over there on the White House lawn. So that is the south side of the White House, but we've looked at that before. We've looked that way before. Hello, Garcia. Hello, nature. Hello. Hi, this is Washington, D.C. Where are you all from? Let us know in the chat where you're watching from. This is just, we're getting such a great sunset. Although the sky is cloudy, we're getting that beautiful golden hour right now. That's the Museum of African American History. Got softball games going on. There's the White House down there. Well, hello, TFRFR. Glad to meet you from Oregon. Wonderful. Thank you for joining. Oh, nature, your grandma lives close by. Then she's very lucky. I love it here. Derek, hi, Milwaukee. Wonderful to meet you. Such a great evening to play ball. Catch a little beautiful sunset. Hello, Mello. Hello, hello, Mello. Getting a great sunset right now. It won't last for long. We'll get this golden hour for a few minutes, but I'm gonna walk from the Washington Monument and see how far we can get toward, hey, Jay! Oh, we're getting such a beautiful sunset tonight. Great to see you, Jay. I'm gonna walk from the monument and see how far I can get close to the Capitol before it gets dark. But it's such a nice night. Look, everybody's playing ball. I used to play softball here. And oh, the White House is behind the trees now, so you can't see the White House. But yeah, softball. I miss playing ball here. I can't do it anymore. I have a bad shoulder. No more swinging a bat. It would literally, my arm would fall off if I swung a bat right now. It would literally fall right off. And yeah, from the base of the monument, because this is quite elevated, even just from the base, you get a really good view the old executive office building there in a distance, and probably get this wrong. I think that's the Commerce Department there. Probably both of those buildings. The taller building there is the Post Office Tower from the old original post office. The Museum of African American Art, or the National Museum, the National African American Museum. Well, we'll pass it and I'll make sure that I say it correctly. And then of course the Washington Monument here. Now I'm telling you, I just noticed this the other day when I was here. If you stand at the, whoa, see, these things happen. If you stand at the base of the monument and you look up, you do still see some stones that look way out of place. I don't know, you know, from the earthquake. I knew they did repairs from the 2011 earthquake. That was a long time ago, but still, I don't know, something looks off. I think it's also because there's some kind of sediment from the rain. But yeah, it's not as bright and beautiful as it has been after a refurbishment. Even before the earthquake, there was a significant refurbishment, I think on the 150th anniversary of the monument, and it looked brighter. I don't know. And there's the Department of Interior building over there. We were there on Saturday. Took a little jaunt around the gardens and the flowers. So maybe we'll see some flowers on this side. So tonight we'll come down the Madison Drive side of the National Mall. And I will not trip again. That was my one trip per trip. I do miss softball. Anyway. Well, I hope wherever everyone is, you're also having such a nice evening. There are people out here in shorts today. It was 70 degrees today. I know, Jay, they're having a good old time. And there's no lights. So this time of year, you kind of... you try to play 7. It usually doesn't happen before you're playing in the dark. A couple more weeks and it's fine. All right, now I go down here and cross over. Sorry, hey, Daryl. Hey, I'm here. I'm observing a beautiful sunset, Daryl. So this time I'm on the north side of the National Mall, which is Madison Drive. On Saturday we did the south side, which was Jefferson Drive. So we'll head down this way just for a jaunt, just so I can avoid some traffic. I won't be able to do these for too much longer. It will be too hot and miserable in a business suit to be wandering around DC. And I know I need to slow down. I walk too fast. So if you visit the Washington Monument, you can see the entranceway there at the base of the monument. But you come over here to the National Park Service Visitor Center to stamp your national parks passport. And there are stamps in there for several sites around the National Mall. This little building here also has a gift shop. So you can purchase a passport if you want to purchase a passport. We're going to walk this way and then we'll catch a glimpse of the Capitol. Probably just missed the sun though. So I don't think we're going to get the sun on the Capitol. There's a tour bus. The hop on, hop off Old Town trolley. I hope there are still actual trolleys because I've done the tour on an actual trolley, which is a lot of fun. All right, be careful. Nope. Not gonna cross. This guy's going way too fast. It's beautiful tonight. 70 degrees. A little bit cloudy, a little bit overcast, but that's okay. All right, I'm gonna do it. Okay. As long as I have friends coming with me, I feel safe. All right, so I want to make sure I give this the correct name. This is the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. So now I'm gonna make sure I unsmudge the lens, so please pardon. Okay, I feel like that's better. Hey, Faye. Did you get to do laundry? Faye, I think I was doing laundry until like 2 a.m. that night we were out here. So, yeah, I got to do laundry. I got tortured to do laundry. This is one of the newer museums on the National Mall. Now, that museum did require a reservation. Now, all of the Smith museums are free, but some exhibits and some museums do require a reservation or a timestamp. So, for example, there was a time when the National Zoo, during COVID, because they were limiting entrance, you just went online and you just reserved a time to arrive, totally free. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, when I passed the National Air and Space Museum here, because it's just completed a massive renovation, so obviously, and it's one of the most popular museums, it also requires a reservation. So what you can do is, if you get here and you didn't know, you just snap a QR code and you take the next available time. It's usually just a few minutes from when you've arrived, really and truly, so don't worry about it. If you get here and you didn't know that you had to reserve an entrance time, it's super easy to do, not inconvenient at all. But as you can imagine, this time of year, schools will be out in a month, and this place will be jumping, as it should be. The great thing about Washington, D.C., I mean, everybody has their phones now, but all of these helpful markers tell you where to go. So the American History Museum, which is just to my left, Natural History, where the dinosaurs are, the National Gallery and Sculpture Garden, and then a whole bunch of other museums, all in this area. Just follow the signs. It's quite easy. You can't get lost here. You really can't. The National Mall, big, great, big, open, green space. Public space, which we love. Now, across the way here, the Department of Interior building that we passed previously, the Department of Agriculture, where we visited those gardens on Saturday, and then further up, the Smithsonian Castle, which we'll get a really good view of, which we also visited on Saturday. But now we're on the opposite side. So here is the National Museum of American History. So this is where you see one of the most visited exhibits, of course, is the original Star-Spangled Banner, which flew over Fort McHenry, shout out Baltimore, in September 1814, when the British had already burned this nation's capital right here and decided they were just going to finish the job in Baltimore. But the plucky people of Baltimore, called the Old Defenders, took up arms, battled back the Brits, and in the morning, Francis Scott Key, who was held a prisoner of war on a British ship, was really hoping in the morning, hoping against all hope, that he'd see that flag still flying. And he did. And that inspired him to write our national anthem. Oh, say that does that star-spangled banner yet wave, or the land of the free and the home of the brave. That flag is here. It's not only about seeing the flag and hearing that story. There's also a story about how the flag was rediscovered. It was packed in a duffel bag of one of the commanders, the garrison commander of Fort McHenry, General Armistead. It was packed in a duffel bag, and a member of his family many years later unpacked this huge, when I say duffel bag, I mean a huge duffel bag, and found this huge flag. And it was this flag that is here. So that's one of the exhibits to check out here at the Museum of American History. Also, another popular exhibit is the First Lady's Gowns exhibit. It's a pretty big deal. And many, many other exhibits memorializing our American history. Now that's the Department of Agriculture building that we looked at on Saturday. So I always tell people, visit during the day and then come back at night. And you'll see everything in a very different way. So we can see some of the lights coming on now on some of the buildings. Some of the kiddies finishing up their Easter holidays or spring breaks, riding those scooters. The scooters are too quiet. They're like electric cars. They sneak up on me. If I go flying, if the phone goes flying, I may have been hit by a scooter. Faye, do you have anything fun going on this evening? Oh, if my niece is watching, hello. I found out this weekend that my niece caught my stream when I was at the Hamilton enjoying a drinky. And she said, Aunt Sandy, was that you streaming? I had to pretend like it wasn't me. But you guys know it was me. So I won't name my niece, but if you're watching, hello, sweetie. I'm just touring. And hey, don't watch me stream. Come down here and walk around with me, right? Grab your sister. Yeah, she did, Daryl. You know what? A long, long time ago, when I started making my my Civil War videos, you know, that's the side of my family where that ancestor, you know, we share that ancestor. So I had asked her to check out my videos. So, and here it is like years later and she's still subbed to me. So actually I thought that was really cool of her. Very sweet. Hello, Tarantula Videos. Very nice to meet you. We'll take another look back the way we came. Wow. So this is, as you can see, if you can see the sign, this is Madison Drive. So if you come here to DC, so I want to show you, there is parking. Now, the museums are closed now, so obviously, but a lot of folks say, oh, I don't want to go to DC, there's no parking. There is parking. And here on Madison Drive, and on the opposite side of the mall, Jefferson Drive, there is pay to park. It's not that expensive. Try to find street parking first before you go to a garage. The garages here are crazy. You might pay, I don't know, $10 for the first hour to a maximum of $35, whereas street parking is really reasonable. And there's a view of the old post office building and a famous DC food truck. When I worked in DC, I had to do it like once every few months, like at least once every 3 months. I had to have a death dog. I had to have a hot dog from a street truck. And it was so good, but then it was so bad, but it was so good. This guy's got, okay, I'm not gonna have anything here, but look what this guy's got. Look at those loaded fries. Loaded fries with chicken, yellow cheese, spicy. Loaded fries with fried chicken. Loaded fries with cheese. White cheese fries with buffalo sauce. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm not doing this. But one of those days, it's Easter. I'm still working off all the Easter calories. I did, yes, tarantula. I showed the flowers on Saturday. We went through the National Floral Library, and then we went over there to the castle, to the garden, the formal garden behind the castle. And I learned that once the tulips are done, they'll dig up those bulbs and save them for next year, and then they'll plant the annuals. So we'll come back and see the annuals. Thank you, Tarantula. That is so kind of you. Yeah, I'm gonna bring my dad down. So talk about my niece watching me stream. Now, my dad is a photographer. He gets obsessive about things. Right now, he's really into birds. I guarantee if he saw me live streaming, within weeks, he would be live streaming. Now, he would fall down. We're a family of clumsy people. But I'm going to bring my dad down when they replant the formal gardens. And we'll see if we can get some dad photography action on a live stream. All right, we'll wait until we get to a clearing and get a better view of the castle. This is the Natural History Museum. I'll stop for a second. So this is where the dinosaurs are. This is where an amazing gem and mineral collection is. And my grandfather actually helped to classify and catalog part of the mineral collection here. He was a micromineralogist. And so, a really weird and niche thing to look up if you're doing family history, you can check the collection of the entire Smithsonian Institution and look up, do a search on the name of the donor, and you can find out if any of your ancestors ever donated something that ended up in one of these museums. So I have 2 ancestors who have contributions to the Smithsonian, which is pretty cool. And I'm sure there are many people who have the same, they just don't know it. So we'll take a close look. This tree root here, careful. So you can see once everyone leaves, once the museum's closed, like night at the museum, once the museum's closed and the people go home from work, it's so peaceful here. So this museum is flanked by 2 very important artifacts. So right here is a chunk of banded iron ore that is about 2.2, no, I'm going to get this wrong. Yeah, 2.25 billion years old. It says 2,250 million, but that's 2.25 billion years old. This was found in Michigan. This has alternating layers of red jasper and black hematite Precambrian. So that's on one side of this beautiful museum. And at the other end of the entrance, you're going to see some chunks of the petrified forest. So the exhibit's going on now. The Lights Out exhibit is wonderful. There's also a butterfly, I guess we still call it an apiary for butterflies, or is it I'm not sure what he called it. We'll cross the street to get a better view of the castle. DC is wonderful because of all of its green space, but the trees get in the way. And that's a cypress. We have cypress and cedar trees in addition to all the locals here. So these, speaking of trees, let's see how old these specimens are. This is obviously petrified wood. Oh, brother. Aracarroxylon arizonicum from the Triassic period, only 200 million years old. So the rock over there, sorry, the banded iron over there was 2.25 billion years old. This is only 200 million years old. Found near Petrified Forest National Park. I've been there in Arizona. I went there a few years ago. So you can see the rock, the tree formed into rock. Hey, Jim. Nice to see you, Jim. All right, now let's get across here and get a good picture of the castle before we lose all the sunlight. I don't know if the castle is lit at night, but this is such a great time to come here. It's 7:58, 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. People are still playing ball, hanging out on the National Mall. A lot of the tourists and business people have gone home. It's just some peaceful time to enjoy the green space in our nation's capital. Hi, Holocron. Well, hey, Dolores. I don't know who you are, Dolores. Jim loves you, Dolores. Oh, this is going to be a good photo. So you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. I won't stutter the stream by taking a photo. I'll come back here with my real camera someday and get this evening photo. So this is the Smithsonian Castle. The statue in front is Mr. Smithson, who bequeathed his entire estate to the United States of America for the purpose of investing in learning and discovery and museums. Mr. Smithson died before ever having set foot in the United States, but he loved the idea of the United States so much that he gave every dime to found the Smithsonian Institution. Today, a collection of, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 museums plus the National Zoo, all free. But also relies on donations. So I am a member of the Smithsonian. I make sure I make my donation. That is a beautiful photo. And that's the castle. And there is the Washington Monument. Beyond that, you can barely see, if you look down at the bottom, is the Lincoln Memorial. We still haven't visited the Lincoln Memorial. It is still under construction. The brand new visitor center is still in the works. As soon as that's done, we will we'll definitely visit the Lincoln Memorial during the day and at night. And yep, the lights are coming on the Capitol building right now. And so many people are here just walking and chilling and enjoying a beautiful evening. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate having everyone here. Wow, when I was in front of the White House 2 weeks ago, you guys made me absolutely giddy. Faye, you had me laughing. Janine had me laughing. That was the stream that I found out my niece had joined and watched. But I hit 500 subs that night. I got, what did I say? 16 subscribers in one night, and surprisingly hit 500. So thanks to everyone who likes to go on these little strolls with me. I would be strolling anyway, but it's nice, certainly very nice to have company while I'm walking. Now I've learned that the more distant the object is, the more jittery and bumpy my phone looks. So I do apologize for for the bopping of the phone. Take one last look at the castle. And another time to say, wow, how nice it is to have such a variety of architecture here. You know, you have a castle, you have a monument, you have a natural history museum. The American History Museum is a little more modern. You have the ultra modern Hirshhorn Museum, which is going to pop up over here. It's a circular museum. And then you have our National Air and Space Museum. But I just love these lamps. I love the yellow. I can't stand the high efficiency light bulbs. I'm glad they kept the yellowish bulbs here on the mall. So I didn't read this on Saturday. I walked past it and I intended to read what was going on here with this construction. I'm guessing that, because I mean, this isn't just digging. This is there are not museums here on the mall. They're all across the street. But this construction crane is on the mall. So I'm thinking they're doing something underground that they will then build over and restore the grass. So we'll have to see what that is. Maybe it's part of the Hirshhorn Gallery. We'll have to see. You can barely see it, but the National Sculpture Garden is across the street here. You can see kind of a silvery tree sculpture and then a little red sculpture. Those are behind the gates there. A very nice garden, but the gates are closed. Probably closes at dark. And there's the National Archives, just peeking beyond the trees there. We've been there a few times. Oh, really? You can, okay, so you can imitate the yellow sodium gas lights with LEDs. Yeah, LED lights just don't feel warm, but these do, so they've done a good job with these. Yeah, I'm sure they're energy efficient here in our nation's capital. We must be energy efficient. So this round building here is the Hirshhorn Gallery, Art Gallery. I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to go on mute for a second. Okay. I've only been there once. You kind of go to the top and you go around and around and around and look at the art. Pretty impressive collection. There's a Banksy in there. There are, I don't know if there's a Richter. So my favorite of the more modern artists, I don't know, what do we call that? Contemporary abstract art is Gerhard Richter. I have to see if they have any of his works there. But that's the Hirshhorn. And then next to the National Sculpture Gallery is the National Gallery of Art. And a few blocks north is the National Portrait Gallery. About, less than a 5-minute walk from here is the National Portrait Gallery. Now we're walking east on our National Mall from the Washington Monument toward the Capitol building. Now, if Congress were in session late in the evening, there would be a very bright white light at the very top of the Capitol, just in that kind of finial over the dome. But there's no bright light, so they're either done for the day or maybe they weren't even in session today. Oh, and there's something projected on the side of the Hirshhorn. So, I don't know if I get closer. There's some kind of film being projected on the left side. We'll have to see what's going on. Interesting. Okay, I have to watch where I'm going. I don't want to fall in a hole. And then over here, behind these trees, lots of nice green space, is our National Air and Space Museum, which just completed a huge renovation and expansion. So part of the collection is here on the National Mall, and then the larger part of the collection with many aircraft is at the Udvar Hazy Center, UDVARHAZY, the Udvar Hazy Center in Dulles, Virginia, Chantilly, Virginia, at Dulles Airport. Okay, so there is a little film going on here on the side of the Hirshhorn Gallery. That's pretty cool. All right, we'll walk up to the Capitol, and then we'll end the stream. Okay, I'm all for kids visiting our nation's capital, but man, they get on my nerves. This is 7th Street, and this is where a couple of Saturdays ago we did the walk all the way up 7th Street to New York Avenue to check out the architecture really early in the morning. We've also walked around the Navy Memorial, which is also in that direction. So lots to see around this area, not just on the mall. I mean, there's plenty to see here on the mall, even if you just make a circuit. But just a few blocks off the mall in any direction is lots to see. Looked kind of like a blue screen. Yeah, it's like whatever's being projected is bluey. I'm gonna creep up the Capitol steps. There's always someone that jumps into chat and says, "You can't climb up there. You're gonna get, whatever." Nope. This is the United States of America. These buildings are public buildings. Our government buildings are public buildings. This National Mall is our public mall. Now, follow the rules. Absolutely follow all the rules. But otherwise, this is our space. So, one rule here, because it is that season, no cleats allowed on this turf. It is new turf. It looks awfully good. Looks beautiful green. And there's the Air and Space Museum. It's huge. You could spend all day in that museum and then take another day and go out to the Hazy Center and see the planes up close. There is a Concorde. There is the Space Shuttle Enterprise, I think it's the Space Shuttle Enterprise. There's an SR-71. There's a P-28. And a few years back, during the 100th anniversary of the Royal Air Force, we were visited by a Lancaster bomber and a Spitfire, which was really cool to see. Took my dad to see those for sure. Didn't think I would walk this far today, but there's still enough light. Oh, that's a good picture. That's a really good picture. Washington Monument, Smithsonian Castle, National Air and Space Museum, and our nation's capital. Wonderful. And I have successfully dodged all the traffic tonight. So there's our National Gallery of Art. Similar style to the Natural History Museum with the dome. I have been here at all hours of the day and night, and there are always people here on the National Mall. It doesn't matter how cold it is. It doesn't matter what time of night it is. There's always people here, and it feels rather safe. Oh, Holocron, you should. If you could, you definitely should. And there's so much variety, even just in this area. I live in the state of Maryland. We have beaches on the Atlantic Ocean. We have mountains, and we're a small state. Maryland is like the, I don't know, what are we, like the 7th smallest state, I think? But we have such a variety. And then, of course, if you go north, you get more mountains. If you go south, you get different landforms. Out west, you get bigger mountains, deserts, the Grand Canyon, all of our national parks. Yeah, I hear people say, oh, I'll come over to the States for a week. You can't. You can come to one state for a week, but you can't see these states in a week. And then there's Alaska, and then there's Hawaii, and Oregon, and Arizona, and Colorado, and they're all so different. Ooh, Florida in 1999. Florida, so the weather we have tonight, this is what Florida has all year round. This 70-degree breezy evening weather. Until it gets like swampy in July and August, when you don't want to be anywhere down south at that time of year. All right, I feel like I can't stop now that I'm almost there. Ooh, good grief, I've almost been streaming for 45 minutes. And all you're seeing me is walking toward the Capitol. It must look like I'm not making any progress, but I've walked at least 1.5 miles thus far tonight. I could just keep going and then cab it back to my car. Instead of, no, I won't do that. I'll walk back. I'll just walk back a different way than I came here. I know, Daryl. Oh, I needed it after Easter. Ate way too much. Way too much for Easter. Not even the candy. We just had, like, my sister does Easter, thankfully. And she's a good cook. So more art gallery over that way. Our capital is this way. Almost there. Almost there. Let's take a look back. Still just a tiny, tiny bit of sun, a little bit of sunset. You can barely see, you can see the Washington Monument. You can barely see way in the distance the Lincoln Memorial. Hi, Roberto. Hola, Roberto. Hola, we're in Washington, D.C., taking a long walk from the Washington Monument all the way to the United States Capitol. Actually, it's not that far. It's not that far. It's an easy walk. I've been going really slow because we've been talking about all the museums along the way. So I've been walking for 45 minutes. It doesn't take that long. If you're not stopping and talking, it takes about 20 minutes to walk from the Washington Monument to the Capitol. Oh, hail from Madrid, Spain. Hola. Well, it's very late for you, Roberto. Alrighty. Now, if I walk any further, there's no roads. Hello, Raphael. Hello. Well, the more people who join, I have to keep going. So this is 4th Street here in Washington, D.C. And you can tell where I am. I'm at our nation's capital. And I've walked from the Washington Monument down there, past all of the Smithsonian museums, all the way up here to our nation's capital on a beautiful 70-degree April night when I can take a walk like this and I can avoid some traffic and enjoy all the sights of Washington, D.C. So thank you all for joining me on this little journey. I'm going to end the stream now. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Hope to see you again sometime. I live stream usually one evening a week and one morning per weekend. So thank you for joining me on my journeys. I talk about history and I talk about architecture, and I appreciate the company. Thank you, Daryl. Daryl, I'm happy to drag you anywhere. Who knows where I'll end up next time. Now see, this is what always happens. I'm ready to end the stream and then I have more viewers than I've had at any time during the stream. So it's really hard to end the stream when I have a lot of viewers. So like I was trying to get everyone to go away last week, I'll just politely ask everyone to go away so that I can end the stream. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.